Welcome, everybody, to the April 1st board meeting. It's not an April Fool. I'd like to introduce you to the board members at the table. To my right, we have Ross Harris and Mike Miller. To the table to my left, we have Karina Hernandez, Sean Heitman, and Ben Fletcher. At the center table to my right, we have Paulette Newbold, who's our board secretary, and to my left, we have our superintendent, Dr. Theron Schutte. My name is Janelle Carter, and I am the vice president. We also have our students here tonight, two of them, Jocelyn Sharafineta, did I say that right? And America Dominguez. Welcome, you too. Would you please say the mission statement with me? We develop learners who have the knowledge, skills, and positive mindset to successfully pursue a meaningful future through personalized learning experiences. Stand if you're able, and we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see. Is there anybody on the pink sheet?
Yeah. Yep.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak during public comment tonight? If there is, okay, you're on there though, right, Brad? Thank you. Okay. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are not.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Andrew Potter, do we have recognitions tonight?
Okay. Tonight I'd like to recognize a 2006 Marshalltown High School graduate. Her name is Samantha Edwards. She approached me last year wanting to do some writing for the school district, and being a one-person shop, I'm like, yes, please. And so she's working on her 5th feature story that she does alumni features for us, and so she's written 4 already, and she's a great writer, and happy to have her as a volunteer. So we'd like to recognize her as an outstanding volunteer. I don't know if you want to say a few words or anything, or.
Well, I would just like to say thank you. It's been very great to be able to do something with my degree, and I also enjoy volunteering. I've volunteered for many years, and I think it's very nice of you to recognize me. So thank you. Yeah,
you'll see her work in the newspaper, and she also volunteers for the library and does writing for the library, and was Miss Wheelchair Iowa. What year was that? 2010, she was Miss Wheelchair Iowa. So a great graduate that's giving back to her school district. We're happy to have her here. So
thank you.
Samantha, we've got a small gift for you in recognition of your volunteering.
Thank you.
And I can tell you we've had just a tremendous amount of positive public comment relative to the features that both you and Andrew have been doing on our graduates. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I'm a lefty too. So. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, on to the consent agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda from last meeting, March 18th?
There are not.
Anthony, any changes to the personnel? None? Any questions on personnel items? Okay. Interagency agreements and contract. Are there any questions?
I can speak a little bit to those. There's one agreement there from the city of Marshalltown relative to our current police liaison at the high school, and so this is basically a continuation of the same contract for the next 3 years, which we're very thankful of the city's partnership with us in that regard. Chief Tepper and I have had numerous conversations about the hope and desire at some point to maybe even expand this to provide some support at Miller and Lenahan as well, but obviously, both the district and the city need to be in a more favorable economic position in order to go down that road. And then there's also an IJ contract there, which is really an extension of the original contract. We currently have IJ employees at both the middle school and high school. The design of that is for an IJ instructor to serve 2 grades. So right now we've had the 7th and 8th grade at Miller, as well as I think the 11th and 12th maybe, or it's either the 9th and 10th. I think the 11th and 12th at the high school, but this, as part of the original plan, would be an extension of that so that we'd have 3 employees instead of 2 and cover all the grades 7th through 12th. And then the transcript is for a new transcript through Infinite Campus that would provide the opportunity for a digital seal for both Bobcat Ready as well as for biliteracy to be identified.
Anyone have any questions? Open enrollments. Questions there? Looks like we had quite a few. A little bit of both, mostly out. Bills, any questions? We have a donation tonight from the Booster Club of $59.06 for the MHS baseball jerseys and hurdles. We have a list of obsolete equipment. Does anyone have any questions about that?
And many of these vehicles that are being asked for the board to approve being deemed obsolete are not in operation and will not need to be replaced. There are a few of them that will. Basically, they're at a state where, in order to make the improvements necessary in order to have the Department of Transportation approve it, it would cost more than what it would be worth. And so we're looking to sell or salvage the vehicles and then replace only what we need to at this point.
Anyone have any questions? May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
So
We have a motion.
Fletcher Hernandez.
Fletcher Harris?
Hernandez.
Hernandez, sorry. Wow, I missed that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Yeah. Well, I got it.
You got it. Thank you. All right. It's time for public comment. Mr. Weidenauer, you probably know the deal. We appreciate your comments, but we're not allowed to respond. We thank you.
I do indeed. Thank you for hearing me once again. My name's Brad Widener. I live at 608 Fremont. I'm coming to talk with you a little bit about the sick leave policy that you're going to put into board policies, and specifically about the 140-day maximum. And currently, we're under that. New employees coming in have that. Older employees, such as myself, who've been here for a few days, have accrued more than 140, and that was grandfathered in. And so I would ask that you make that consideration as you put this into policy, that those folks who have been around for a while, have accrued more than 140 days, that those be grandfathered in. And you know, some of us have thought about it in terms of what's coming down the road. We kind of miserly hoarded those days so that, you know, God forbid we should have some sort of medical need, that we would take those and use those. And you know, if at all possible, I'd like to retire one day and give back 180 some days to the district. But you know, should I need them, it would be nice to know that they're there. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I believe, Anthony, you'll be speaking to that, right? Yes. Later.
Okay. Oh, hello, Jane. Welcome. It's up. It's time for your presentation. Whoever's going to do it tonight.
Hi. So we're here to present the April update. Okay, so for the Health Careers Club, we have been doing fundraisers. We are fundraising to go to our trip to Chicago. I think you guys have heard about that in the last few meetings. Lately, we did baskets that had goodies, so students donated those baskets, and we sold them at school with the as a silent auction, and this provided us with $800, so that will all go towards the Chicago trip, and we will plan a fajita dinner at the track meet this Thursday.
This Thursday?
This coming Thursday? Okay.
So recently, we had the Community Grant Award ceremony, and we decided to combine it with our STEP ceremony. So if you don't know what STEP is, STEP stands for Students Teaching Empowering Philanthropy, and it's run by a group of MHS students. And the purpose of the program is to nurture philanthropy within the youth, develops leaders, and expands and identifies new community opportunities. On your left, you could see some of the nonprofits that STEP decided to fund. Each year we're awarded $10,000 and we use this money to give to other nonprofit agencies in Marshall County. And then the funds come from the Martha Ellen Ty Foundation and the Community Foundation of Marshall County. And each year we develop this sort of application, and some of the target areas that we wanted to mainly focus on were poverty, child abuse, education, and transportation. We decided to fund MICA, to fund the Bobcat swim lessons, so to give swim lessons to the younger kids. Also, Lenahan, Ride to School. It's really difficult for walkers to travel in the harsh weather that we have, so we thought it was really important for them to increase attendance. Also, CAPS for crisis child care, youth and shelter services for people who age out of the system, have something that they can look upon and have. Big Brothers Big Sisters, interactive activities with bigs and littles, and Marshalltown YMCA YWCA, it's the new games for the Y in the Welcome Center.
This last Wednesday, 17 students from Lenahan, Miller, and the high school competed at National History Day. 7 of those students were from the high school. The students presented projects on the theme, which was Triumph and Tragedy in History. 5 MHS students and 2 Miller students qualified for the state competition, and they will be competing on April 29th. Some other activities that have been happening at the high school. Last Friday and Saturday was Sherlock Holmes. Audience members and the performers all said it was a success and that it went really well. And then also we had Hot Tamale Louie, which I forgot to talk about at the last meeting, but on March 8th, the performance was at the high school. The seniors and juniors went to the show in the morning, and then the freshmen and sophomores went in the afternoon. And students enjoyed the show, and everyone agreed that they learned about the history of tamales and culture. A lot of people didn't know that it came from Afghanistan.
So these are some of the upcoming home sports and concerts. Today right now, I guess, there's the MHS solo ensemble recital. And then the JV and varsity boys tennis versus Ankeny Centennial on April 2nd at 4 p.m. JV and varsity boys tennis versus Southeast Polk on April 4th at 4 p.m. And then the boys varsity track meet on that same day at 4:30 p.m. Also, the varsity girls tennis versus Newton is on April 5th at 4 p.m.
Okay, and prom season has fallen upon us. April 27th will be the MHS prom, and their theme is memories. This will be held in the second phase of the Roundhouse. So the newer gym, the prom aid will precede the dance and will be in the Roundhouse. And after prom, will also be in the Roundhouse with the theme of "Hit Me with Your Best Shot."
Even though prom is a month away, I thought it was important to include this slide in here today because of last Saturday's event. I know all the students, after seeing the new gym, are getting even more excited for prom in the new location. And then additionally, last Friday, my family and I went to a Yale alumni dinner thing because my brother is a junior at Yale this year. And Akil Amar, a professor at Yale, spoke. And after listening to him speak, I told my parents that almost everything he discussed I had learned in my AP government class. So I was really proud of Marshalltown and the education that I got so far at the high school.
Great. Yeah.
Any questions?
So I've got just two comments. One is that having now attended at least two, if not the last three, the awards, the granting of the awards, I was just really impressed by the students representing our district at that, and it just made me think about how special it is for you as students to be able to get involved in philanthropy beyond just providing community service and that sort of thing. I think the opportunities are plentiful at the high school for exposure to both of those things that hopefully will carry forward with a lot of our student graduates when they go off to not just college, but the world of work especially. And then on behalf of my grandsons, I thank you for the silent auction on the for the Health Careers Club, because I just happened to walk into the high school Friday afternoon not really knowing that was going on, but wound up walking out with a couple baskets that I'm sure they'll be thrilled to death when they come to my house next time.
So,
it's a neat event.
Prom, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Can any of you name who sang that song? Bonus points for what year it was written.
I know the song, but I don't know.
All right, here to tell your friends.
Pat
Benatar, 1980. So there you go.
Thank you.
Good selection.
Thank you very much. Nice job, guys. Okay. Math adopt.
Are you
Struggling with that one.
Googling over there, or is that just locked away in the...
I was 12 years old, and that song was great. Maybe there was some help from Google. Just on the year.
I don't have anything nearly as exciting to talk about as
You can sing a little bit if you know the
peers.
song.
Actually, I saw you tapping your foot when they said the name of it, and I was like, yeah, it's a catchy tune. I wonder if it was lost maybe on. Did you guys know it was a song? Okay, good. Just checking, because that might have not been known. Okay, so Pam Brewer-Michael and I are here. Every April we come, either Pam or her elementary colleague come to you, because we've spent the whole year studying with a group of teachers whatever is up in our 7-year adoption cycle. So this meeting we're bringing to you for information only. Information about 7th through 12th grade math curriculum resources, and the remainder of the social studies curriculum, of which you bought most of the social studies curriculum for 7-12 last fiscal year. So I'll also have this back on the agenda for April 15th for an action item, so it's generally how we do it. Math first, since math is up. So 7-12 math, we tried a new process this year. We had a grade level person from 7th, 8th, and then 4 high school people. They came, principals invited, and an instructional coach or 2, one from each building, joined us. And once a month they met for a half a day, because it is exceptionally difficult to get 7-12 teachers who are not coaching, tutoring, et cetera, to come to after school meetings. And that gave them time to study the new standards and look at our data in math and look at what's going on in terms of our assessments and our student achievement in math. And interestingly enough, the group understands they study every month, they take things back to their teams, they talk in PLCs about what they learned, and then they make recommendations. And sometimes they get everything they ask for, and sometimes there isn't enough money or resources to do that. So this is a trimmed down list of things that they had originally asked for. Interestingly enough, the 7th and 8th grade team identified their top resource as the HMH, which is Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt, to be Go Math, which aligns with our K6 series we bought 2 years ago. So we're hoping that will be a plus for our students and teachers to see that series continue. And it's consumables, which is interesting. We're used to hardcover textbooks in math. And then you'll also see just your traditional high school math series, 2018-19, I believe, copyright, from Pearson for Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry, which is our traditional pathway. And then we also have the materials we need there for MLA students as well. And then for our advanced math, we have our pre-calculus and calculus texts listed. Any questions about math?
So the pre-calc and calc is for planning 30 students?
Mm-hmm. Right. It's a classroom set.
One classroom set.
Right.
And then beyond that, then they go to MCC if they want to get a further advanced past calc. Is that right?
College calculus, right?
Yeah, for calculus 1. Calculus is the combined book for Calc 1 and Calc 2, and that's what the teachers requested, because we offer Calc 1 in the fall and then Calc 2 in the spring.
Okay. And then if anything beyond Calc 2, then they go to MCC and do
Actually, we have Introduction to Statistics, and the textbooks for those are very current. They're the current edition that the college is using, so there was no need to replace those right now.
Okay. Perfect.
And then we also offer the college prep for college math. I'm not sure what the official title is. That's also an MCC course, and that's delivered predominantly online because that's the way that MCC delivers it. So,
okay.
Yeah, they just didn't need those materials right now.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you.
Is that typical, the number that we have that do the pre-calc and calc?
Actually, what we've done is sometimes there's one section and sometimes there's two sections. And so we kind of went in alignment with what we did with the rest of the books, is that we kind of plan for classroom sets of print books for about one print book for every 2 students, but every student will have online access.
Okay.
Which again is... It's a shift. I mean, I think you guys realize that when you go to take a college course now, most of the time you're buying your book, you're just getting the access code and everything is online.
Right.
And so we want to prepare kids, so we're giving them that online. But our teachers also have a little bit of reservation whether every student has full online access at home. So we still are going with some books so that we can send books home with kids who need them. Okay. What's interesting about the Go Math series at Miller, I just kind of wanted to mention this, we are buying just classroom sets of those materials, not one per student, because that series allows students to download chapters at a time on their Chromebooks and then do all their work at home offline. And then when they walk back into the building, that Chromebook syncs back with the school system, then everything gets uploaded into the teacher account. So we're not planning to send hardcover books home with kids at Miller because we're sending their Chromebooks home with them.
Okay.
With full access.
Nice.
Trying to really take advantage of those great Chromebooks that you guys are providing for students. So.
It's been a digital shift for sure, and we'll have to talk about that too in the updates to the digital learning plan. But investing in the Chromebooks and then still investing in a book for every kid doesn't make sense. No. But it's been a slow process to try to wean back to we'll give a classroom set of books as well as digital access for everyone. And now we're even getting to the point where we're trying to do one book for every 2 students because half the kids are fine just learning online. And
So
half,
the answer to that was there's probably like 60 kids.
Yeah.
correct.
And it varies, it really does vary
Right,
year to
yeah.
year, but we usually try to schedule or try to anticipate 60, a max of 60 students.
Okay.
And so that's what we're requesting.
Okay.
Some years we have all 60, and some years we have 51, just never know.
We'll flip to social studies. And then social studies, last fiscal year, we purchased the 7th and 8th grade social studies materials as well as world history. And this is the remaining courses that needed to be in government. This is the 3 remaining courses that still needed materials and resources to line up with the new Iowa social studies standards that we have to have in place by the end of next school year. So you'll say U.S. history there. And again, kind of what Pam was referencing, we'll have 4 teachers. Sometimes when it says teacher subscriptions, that includes a special ed teacher or an ELL teacher that might need a subscription that supports the classroom. And then classroom sets of 17 textbooks, so 1 for every 2 students or so. AP Human Geography is a new course that we're excited to offer to promote AP college readiness in the social studies department in addition to AP government. Sorry, you guys, you don't get to take it. And then dual credit Western Civ, so that's an MCC course that they tell us essentially what book and edition we need to purchase for our students. It's a very popular course.
And that is one of those classes that MCC changed editions, so we have to.
Okay.
And
So
unfortunately, that book has no online access.
the human geography?
The dual credit.
Okay. The dual credit Western Civ.
Human geography does. And
Okay.
so we did the same model, 1 for every 2 students, and then enough
Yeah.
for 2 full classroom sets of online access.
So human geography, is that like populations of different countries or?
It covers many of the same standards as a world history class does,
Okay.
so there's a lot of overlap. We're offering that as an alternative to taking a 9th grade world history. There's a close enough alignment between those
It kind
two.
of studies my own,
Yeah.
all 3 of my kids have taken it. It studies the movement of peoples,
Right.
like migration,
Populations.
a lot of issues that cause, or changes that cause movements of peoples, whether it's war or famine or, all the different historical reasons that caused large groups of people to move from one area to another, and then they study it from a broad perspective. So we're hoping that it'll be popular once the Miller kids register.
I don't believe all the registration is complete, but a couple of weeks ago, I double-checked numbers with Jackie Wyant on all of these, particularly the electives, because we're kind of guessing what enrollment will be until we see. And there were already over 50 students who had enrolled for AP Human Geography. So.
I think there's a good possibility that after it's offered for the first time and kids are talking that.
So we may have to come back and ask for some more online subscriptions in another year. Wouldn't that be a good problem?
That'd be a nice problem.
Nationally, it's a great entry-level AP course because it is something that kids can be very successful in, and it can kind of get them over that bridge, whether they feel internally they're cut out to take the more rigorous AP classes and that sort of thing. So.
The teachers are excited about offering that as an elective. Or, well, some students can take it as elective, others might take it as a fulfillment for graduation requirement.
Yeah.
Depends on their 4-year plan.
Any questions about social studies?
I guess just on the math, when you opened it, you said not getting everything that was on the list. Is there anything that we're missing or anything that's going to come back next year?
Well, sure. The 2 things that pop into my mind right away is they wanted 1 book per kid, which we didn't do. And then the second thing is they wanted some pretty high, well, it's not high tech, but they are interactive whiteboards that would go up in the classrooms at Miller, the math classrooms, that this math program is designed to run, the software is designed to run on that type of board, which is not a smart board, right? It's the smart board model, not the board model we have right now. And that's just not generally what I don't generally make technology purchases out of my curriculum budget, so that's a not yet now.
How much are those?
I'm going to look over here because Josh helped me figure out whether we could make the software run on what Miller currently has, and the answer to that was no.
Okay.
Ballpark, $1,500 to $2,000.
A piece. And we'd need at least six. But something, can I just go ahead and say something else that, which I support. I mean, I'm all for giving teachers the tools that they need to fully use the curricular materials that we're purchasing for them. I'm confident that the Pearson series with math, as well as the Pearson series we have with social studies, would also support those kinds of things. So this is one of those, when you open it up for one area, there most of the software that we're purchasing, the online software that we're purchasing for all of our curricular areas, the teachers and students would benefit. The Go Math that we have in elementary right now those teachers would also be able to use an interactive whiteboard. So it's one of those.
It's a bigger conversation about what we think is required and what's nice to have in terms of classroom technology, projector, that type of thing. And right now, interactive whiteboards are not standard in our classrooms. We have document cameras and other setups, but not the interactive whiteboards. And
is there a smart board at Miller already, though?
Yeah, Miller has. And correct me if anyone here with the history, they have Mimeo boards, which were purchased, I believe, with Gear Up money or some specific grant money, and they're not new. And Josh and I were able to work with the Go Math HMH people to confirm that they're just old enough that the software doesn't run on them, and so they won't work. They work fine for what the teachers are using them for now, but they're not sophisticated enough to support this new generation platform.
So, Josh, I'm kind of looking at you. When we purchase software like this, does all this go through you to ensure that it'll be compatible to our Chromebooks? And as we progress Chromebooks, we get revisions to the software and we don't get into a position where the software and the hardware are incompatible?
There have been instances where a smaller onesie, twosie has kind of snuck by, but the vast majority has to come to the technology department.
So do we need to put something in place to ensure that any software purchases go through Josh's eyes so that he can sign off on it to make sure we don't buy something that we can't use a year later?
We have that as part of our curriculum adoption work that we do.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the onesies and twosies are that he's referring to, but whenever we do anything this big, we have to think about Project Lead. The way in particular has been our most challenging, trying to get their systems to work on our systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Are there any more questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you back next time, I guess.
Right.
Then we have Lisa again for the half-day transitional kindergarten program.
Yep. So about a year ago in December, I'm sure you remember vividly, I presented some information about Bobcats moving forward, our little youngest Bobcats, some ideas we had in order to improve interest in starting in Marshalltown Community Schools and improving outcomes. And so we had 3 recommendations to the board. One was going from a 4-day to a 5-day kindergarten. Another was adding transportation. And then the third was instituting a half-day transitional kindergarten program. Those were the things we narrowed in on based on what our neighbors are doing and what the state is supporting our work in. And what we know have high evidence outcomes. So we moved forward on 2 of those 3, and this is the 3rd one that we're bringing back. We did get a green light from board leadership back in January to survey, or to ask, I suppose, at parent-teacher conferences if there would be parents that would be interested in this program. So this would be just our current 200 preschoolers that are in our system that would have had a parent-teacher conference in late February. So we worked with the teachers to identify students who they thought might be good candidates for that. And we had a matrix that we went through and looked at some factors that make kids maybe at risk for a full-day kindergarten program model. And then they narrowed down who they thought that would be, had conversations with parents, kind of came up with a spreadsheet of interest, and ended up with 10 maybes and 10 yeses after that. Then worked with board leadership again to talk about moving forward. Andrew did some nice publicity for us to kind of see now what other interest is out there, because we know there's families at Bobcat and the Y, and I mean, I don't know who else. Maybe they homeschool their kids for preschool, or just community members that do church daycares that would not have heard about. They don't get our newsletters, et cetera. And that information went out widely to that community last week. We have had 3 people call in since then. So we've been tracking that. And at this point, I'd like to request approval to move forward with that. And what it essentially means is request approval to hire or put a teacher in that position for half-time for the 1920 school year. An elementary teacher that would serve the half-day TK program.
Questions? Comments? I spent some time with Lisa talking about this program. It should be noted that we get a student to sign up for a half-day. We do get a student credit. Full student credit. Okay, that's right. So that it's a great idea. It's also a program that's run in some of the outlying districts. Mm-hmm. I know East Marshall has a program, so this will be new to our district. I was actually pretty excited about it when we talked. So
it's kind of confusing sometimes, because I think other places around the state have it set up differently, you know. So, and not to mention, some call it alternative kindergarten, begindergarten, transitional kindergarten. But the idea, though, this model that we're trying to land on is for kids who've had a half-day preschool experience and just aren't ready for a full-day kindergarten experience. So ideally, they've gone to preschool, and we're making an informed decision about what to do with them in kindergarten, versus they attended kindergarten all the year, and now we're saying, you're not ready for first grade. Do it all over again. That has negative outcomes. We've heard, there's a lot of research to support that retention does not have long-term benefits for kids. So what we're trying to do is get a jump start on it and have them be in a modified kindergarten curriculum for half a year. By code, by the Department of Ed, we have to offer an opportunity for them to move to first grade at the end of that, should they and their parents want that. But all the people I've talked to around curriculum directors and people that have this said they couldn't even think of any instances when families chose that, because they knew their kids and they knew that it wasn't, smart to skip over the entire year of full-day kindergarten. So that is something that'll be communicated with parents, obviously, and in case they choose to do that.
So what would, for those scenarios to be effective, something different needs to be offered than what they would otherwise experience, because offering them the same thing twice through a retention format is going to bring forth probably similar results.
I think I would try to make sure that you do fairly significant, meaning spend some money on advertising this program. The people who host your website, Josh, do a pretty sophisticated job of social media advertising, targeting, geofencing, so that you can force ads into people's social media streams. And it's pretty reasonably priced. And I might, as opposed to just posting stuff on Facebook, I might actually start doing ads there that force your message.
We've done ads on Facebook before for registration, but you can zero in on the radius.
Yeah.
Part of the challenge right now is that we've got limited capacity to facilitate the program. I mean, ideally, we'd want to have it available if there was the demonstrated need and desire across the district. But right now, we literally have 2 available classrooms.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have the capacity for 30 or 40 kids?
If we went in 2 classrooms and offered 4 half-day programs, I mean, maxing out, I'd say we'd be at 60 to 70.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, it's kind of a fine line because you want to, hook people in, but at the same time, we don't want a waiting list and have people feel frustrated that they didn't get their kid in the program they felt best met his or her needs. And so I'll probably be back maybe in a year asking for permission to expand because I think it's going to be a very popular decision. Of course, there's a lot of families that will still struggle with this because it is half day, and you have to find somewhere for your child to go the other half of the day, similar to preschool. But it's the one time really where they get to make that decision on behalf of their children. So I think we'll have families that choose that, and there's quite a bit of legislation floating around right now. I had a conversation with Margaret Buckton on Friday about verbiage being changed in statewide preschool funding to be called education of the young child instead of education of the 4-year-old. And it's just kind of an interesting political conversation that's going on right now because some districts want flexibility to wrap these 5s into that program twice. And I could go on and on about why some people want it one way and some people want it another. But in the meantime, this was the advice I got from them in Des Moines too, is do what your data tells you you need to do. And so our data shows us that our kids who haven't gone to preschool or maybe have never are still very, very limited in English. They need extra time before we throw them in today's high-paced kindergarten classroom where they're expected to be reading and adding and subtracting and doing all those things by May of kindergarten. So I think this will be a good solution for us for next year.
We're talking about one section, 2 sections, one section?
Yeah.
You know what school it's going to be at?
Yeah.
We're hoping to put it at Fisher.
Fisher.
Mm-hmm. Again, as Dr. Schutte said, we're really limited on classrooms. We only have 2 classrooms open.
So is this an existing, you have to hire another person, or is this
We'll post for a 0.5 position, right, and see for that.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have any more questions?
Just when you say one student credit, is that for certified enrollment? Is that, like, even though it's a half, the kid's only there for a half day, but it counts as a full, like, one student?
Correct.
Is that certified enrollment?
Yes, right. For certified state supplemental aid.
Is there a
clarification
certified curriculum that goes to this? I guess I'm not
They're
aware
required
of
to be presented kindergarten curriculum.
Okay.
And then they would take kindergarten assessments. So there are some things that we have to abide with. I envision the person being part of the kindergarten team at that school and providing a modified version of what the other kids are getting in an all-day format. So I think they'll be done by noon every day. We have to provide half of the minutes that the regular full-day kids get.
So will they have transportation as well as preschool?
As a kindergartner, yes, they'll be able to ride the bus.
Okay. Anybody else? More questions? May I have a motion to approve a half-day transitional kindergarten program for the 1920 school year as presented? Salute.
Second.
Hernandez Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Good luck with it. That's exciting. Okay. Wow. On to policies. It's 5:45.
So as far as the first reading of board policies, all of these policies were presented to you at the last meeting through initial review, and we have not made any changes to them at that point or since that time. Board of Directors elections, term of office, again, those were amended to reflect current IASB language relative to mainly the changes with the November elections next year, or this year, 2019. Code of Ethics was amended as well to align with IASB. We had a deletion on 203.6 legal counsel in lieu of a new policy being adopted. That's IASB's policy. We had made an amendment, or we had asked for a new policy on limitations to employee references. That's IASB to be approved. We are asking that the licensed employee family and medical leave simply be marked as amended. Annuities for classified employees be marked as amended. Purchasing bidding be marked as amended. That was reintroducing the E-rate language that we inadvertently struck the last time this policy came forward at Josh's request. And then 705.5, approval of payment for goods and services. We were asking the old policy be deleted in lieu of the new policy being adopted. That was actually under Mike's purview. Also, with the ones that Mike reviewed, we had a recommended deletion on 705.6, a deletion on 705.7, adoption of the new policy 709 in lieu of deleting the old policy 705.8 on the insurance program, and then a deletion of 705.8R on the insurance program as well.
Okay. Are there any questions? All right, let me see how we should do this. Can we bundle in groups here maybe and do the
I think,
amended ones maybe
we
first?
presented them in groups at the last meeting, and I mean, I can re-present them that way, or I would recommend, since we haven't made any changes, just approving them.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the first reading policies number 201, 201.6, which is now 202.3, 201.1, 202.1, which is now the new 204, 203.6, new policy 207, and 401.6, 409.3, 412.4, 705.1, and 705.5. 705.6, 705.7, 705.8, which is the new 709, and 705.8R. Those last several are deletions. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Harris, Fletcher, all in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
For the initial reviews, Anthony, do you want to come and we'll have you speak to 409.2 and 414.4, licensed employee personal illness leave and classified employee bereavement leave for funerals.
All right, so for 409.2 that's on the screen, there was so our sick leave cap used to be 200, and then when we went into bargaining for the 17-18 year, we reduced that to 140, but any employees that were employed in the district before July 1, 2017, if they had more than 140 sick days, they got to keep that amount until they spent it down below 140. So I have a piece of language from the contract that we can come back at the next meeting with in the policy.
And then classified employment bereavement leave, I believe we've inserted employee handbook in lieu of the old language, which reference the contracts.
Correct.
What we're doing here is we're just taking out the contract, but the contract had stated the grandfathering in of the, is that?
So you're putting it
we
into
need
policy.
to add that to 409.2.
You need to add that to the policy because it was in the contract. And
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions?
And these will come back.
These are all for initial review, so they will come back. More questions? Okay. Is that it? Yes, all for you, right,
That's it.
Anthony? Okay. So to 202.3 is going to be a new title and number only. So that will be marked, that could be marked as reviewed.
Correct.
Okay. And then 206.3, Secretary Treasurer, I believe, is a new ISB policy. That should come back. Then 705.9.
We added to the list of
The board council.
board-appointed counsel to the list of individuals for which the board would send flowers or sympathies.
Shouldn't that be SEL, council? COUNSEL? Am I right?
I'll take your word for that one.
What is it?
Council spelled wrong.
Oh.
Incorrectly.
Got
Yeah,
it.
well.
Yeah, good catch. We'll fix that and bring that one back. It's coming back.
Did you just mean it as for an attorney?
I assume that's, if the intention is.
Or did you mean it for more than just an attorney?
Yes.
Just an attorney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or the attorney.
You're right.
Yeah. Okay. The next one is 707.1, Secretary's Monthly Report. There was just some additions to this one. Receipts, disbursements, and balances. Minor changes. Then the last one was 707.2, Treasurer's Annual Report. We added some new language from ISB. So all those will come back.
Let's go for it. 7 minutes.
Let's see here.
Until it happens.
Communications.
Oh, just to revisit, Saturday night was a success with the Roundhouse Phase 2. It looked like probably 400 to 500 people there. We expected 200-300, so we had a ton of people from all over the country. It was a great event, so thanks to Darren and everybody else who planned that. It was a very, very fun night.
Awesome. Let's see, reminders for the next weeks. We have the Franklin Steam Night, April 4th at 5:30, if anybody's able to attend. And just a general reminder that on Monday, we have a special board meeting for the hearing of the budget, this coming Monday, the 8th. Let's see, committee reports. Is there anything else? Did I miss anything?
I would just add to what Andrew said. I thought it was great that all of our able board members were able to be at that event on Saturday, and I want to pay particular thanks again to Ross, Mike, and Janelle for all the time invested in, the facilities work to get us to that point. It's been a long haul, but I think an enjoyable one to finally get to where we've gotten.
Let's see, committee reports. We have the school board visit from Gavin Althouse, is that correct? Lisa,
That is correct.
How'd that go?
It was really great.
Was it good?
Yeah. For somebody that doesn't have a background in computer science, I was just amazed at how attentive the kids were and how they were working with partners and they were coding and figuring out solutions and using a tablet that was synced to their desktop computer, and Gavin did a really nice job.
Nice. Okay, and then the only other meeting I'm aware of was the MEA internal communications, which was last Friday, and there will be the teacher's retirement tea on May 15th. That was kind of the only thing in there that. Do you have anything to add about that? Update?
I'm trying to remember.
The IBB committees, we spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, people gave updates regarding IBB.
Yeah, there was an update on the interspace bargaining, and that's about it. It was pretty short, basic meeting. So tonight, in lieu of a quote or whatever, I think that we should take just a little bit of time and just say what you felt about Saturday night's event, because it was a pretty big deal and it was a long time coming with a lot of work behind it, and everybody was there. So maybe just come up with your favorite piece of the new Roundhouse edition. We can include the students in this. So it's a short meeting tonight, so we have a few minutes, maybe take a little bit of time, and I'll start. That'll make it easier. So I just want to say thanks to Theron again. That was a big event, and it was a long time coming. We've all been involved in it, I think most of us, from the very get-go, and it was very well done. I was so happy to see, I think I was telling Paulette before the meeting, the final product with the ribbon tied and everything there. I felt like it was a complete package to the job well done. So thank you again.
Thank you.
So anybody who wants to go next?
I had an uncountable number of people stop me, email me, text me, call me, and tell me how wonderful they thought the facility was. That was way nicer than they thought that it would be, and that all of the graphics of students and history was particularly nice and sort of gave it the over-the-top kind of look to it. So it was nice to be a part of a project so well received by so many people.
I thought the thanks that Theron did for so many different people that have been involved in this project, and sitting in the committee meetings over in the coaches' room and seeing everybody from the janitors to the contractors to the teachers to the coaches to the board to everybody that's been involved in this to pull it off as well as they did is a testament to your leadership. So thanks, Theron.
I can piggyback on that. I think I was pretty amazed of how many people were involved in this, and the fact that you mentioned it, it was really great, and I think it settled really well with the people. There was conversation going on about that and how people just didn't realize how much people are involved in this, and just the turnout. I think it was amazing. I know I made a point to take my family with, and brought my daughter from Iowa because she's an alumni, and she was just amazed, and it's gonna be good. I think it's a great, and just having prom there, I think that's just even more welcoming to that.
Karina said she wanted to go to prom so she could see what it was like.
I do.
Is that possible? Can she do that?
She can help chaperone.
I told her she could probably chaperone. Yeah, I would echo what everybody else has already said. I would say I had my two kids there with me.
They got a little tired of all the thank yous, but they did a pretty good job. And then they were really excited to get in and actually see the gym. I've got a 5th grader and a 1st grader, and so they're really excited about, in the future getting to go play in that new gym and use the batting cages and all of that stuff. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I think just walking into that gym was fun. I hadn't been there in a long time. I hadn't been there since there was a floor, and I just hadn't made it. And so just seeing that space was great. I've thought about it as an auxiliary gym, I guess, in my head, but you walk in there, it's a full-size gym, and to see the batting cages with the volleyball and the basketball all going on at the same time, there's a lot of things that can be done with that space. And then I don't know a lot about wrestling, but it's been nice. I mean, the idea that this kind of team that hasn't had a home now has not just a home, but what I'm being told by people who know what they're talking about is that it's a pretty high-class facility. It's not a lot of people have got a dedicated wrestling space with the features that has. So that's been pretty cool to see.
Yep. Can I add, the murals are amazing. Not only the pictures, but the fact that there's messages in it is just, that blew my mind. I think that's something that the kids can take with every time they pass by, just reading just something really good.
Yeah.
I think, a couple things came to mind. My mind was 100 different places that evening with everything, but, when I walked into the auxiliary gymnasium and saw some of our student athletes, playing around in there, everybody had a big smile on their face, so that probably first and foremost, and then having so many, I knew there would be a couple members of the extended family, Valley Morrison, even though the immediate family wasn't going to be able to attend, but there was quite a contingent of Valley Morrison family members, and to see the excitement on their face, and particularly when I went downstairs and they were still there later in the evening, taking photos, with the murals and stuff was really special too, because, obviously he was a special, thing in terms of being not only a state champion and a state champion coach and then an Olympic champion, but he had been forgotten by many people for a long, 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 long time. And one of the quests is to try to remind people of the long-standing history of Bobcat excellence, whether it be in the athletic arena or the fine arts arena. I think it's important for our kids to know that and hopefully aspire to attain similar levels of success, as well as our coaches too. So that made it extra special.
Do you have any comments, Paulette?
I would just add that I, just came in on the tail end of this. Into the community, and I am just really impressed with the number of people that showed up to support, and you could really tell there was a lot of pride in the building that night. It was amazing.
Awesome.
Neat facility.
Thank you. Who wants to start at the student table? America.
I think my favorite part, I didn't go to it, but I saw a lot of posts on Instagram and Facebook about it, but I really liked the silhouettes that were outside of the gym. I didn't know that was going to happen until I actually drove up and saw them there on that day. I really like how they included past members or players and from other sports, and I just think it's really cool to see the people that were up there actually go to this event and take pictures, and you can really see how proud they were to be a part of the history.
Thank you.
This past weekend, my grandpa was in town from Michigan, and so we took him with us to the event, and he was so impressed with our school, and I was really proud to show it off. And then, like you said, Dr. Schutte, seeing the other student athletes there, it was fun to see my classmates using it. And I'm excited to have the parking lot and entrance.
Prom. We will be having a prom in the new roundhouse, so I'm excited to see how that turns out. Now we have more room for after prom, so students don't have to transport to, I guess it's at the mall or something, so it's more convenient for the students, as well as the parking lot. So, yeah.
Nice. All right.
We may have some issues with that entrance yet, just because until that gets finished off where all the dirt work is yet, which should be hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to keep people from coming in and potentially tracking all of that in. But hopefully before the end of the year, we can possibly open up that entryway.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other things to add? Thank you, everyone. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Harris Hernandez, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.